Hello and welcome to the latest edition of JRock's Babylon News Special. Today is the evening right before Memorial Day. Have you all been enjoying your Memorial Day weekend so far? I really hope so. I know I have. Um, Today I just went to see the new Mandalorian movie, and man, if you're a Star Wars fan, you have not seen that, I really encourage you to go out and see if that's all I'm going to say on that front because I'm not going to be a spoiler and spoil anybody's movie. Where we have a chance to see it. It just literally came out, um, just Friday this week. Anyways, I thought it was time to do another one of these specials. And of course, I'm your host, Jason JRock Houston, and of course, you're watching JRock's Babylon. And what I thought we'd talk about is one of my favorite albums that's just been out literally for about a month now. It came out April 24th to be exact. I'm of course talking all about John Corabi's new soul album, New Day. Now, how many of you just love John Corabi, just love the new album? I have been loving it. I mean, I have been a Corabi fan, like a lot of people, going all the way back to 1994. That was when John Corabi came into my world. Of course, when he replaced Vince Neil as the new lead singer in Motley Crue. A lot of people didn't know what to expect. It was quite a different sound, but it wasn't something that I didn't like. Of course, let's be honest, it was not the same old Motley Crue. John Corabi had quite a different sound than Vince Neil. Let's be honest. But I went out and I got the album. In fact, because it was like a collector's edition in a way. I mean, they had a yellow cover and a red cover. Do you remember that from the Motley Crue album? That came out in '94 with John Corabi. I went out and got both. Some of the songs Hooligan's Holiday, Misunderstood, Love Shine, Drift Away is probably my all-time favorite off of that album. Also, the song Poison Apples. Well, okay, so that's a little history on how John Corabi came into my life. And I've been a fan of everything John Corabi has done ever since, not just Motley Crue, of course, but his band The Scream came before that. But people were kind of finding out about The Scream right around the same time that John would join up with Motley Crue. The Scream was one of those bands that should have been a lot bigger, but joining Motley Crue kind of got in the way of that happening. But The Scream's debut album to this day is one of those go-to moments in John Corabi's career where people point to. That's one of the albums they said, okay, if you're a Corabi fan or you want to find out what this guy's all about, um, not only do you have to listen to the '94 Motley Crue album, but you got to go back and listen to the Scream debut album. I was a fan of the band he had with Bruce Kulick, Union, of course. Um, Union had a great sound, but again, one of those bands that should have been much bigger than they were. Of course, Union was the band he formed with then ex-Kiss guitarist Bruce Kulick, who was no longer in Kiss, and it was actually Nikki Sixx that helped put John and Bruce together because he was friends with both the guys, and from what I understand, and so got some kick-ass music there. Everybody's been waiting all these years for really, an official John Corabi solo album. I mean, we got this back in 2012, Unplugged. That was kind of the first Corabi solo album, if you remember. But let's go down. Let's look at this Unplugged because this was kind of the first kind of solo effort we got from John Corabi. Another great album in the John Corabi discography, but it had a few new tunes that had never been released for. It had acoustic versions of like Hooligan's Holiday and Love Shine and stuff from all throughout John's career. But it was an unplugged album, so some of them were very different versions. And so all these years we've been waiting to get an official Corabi solo album, and that's what we finally got in our hands with New Day, which was released on Frontiers Records on April 24th. And I tell you, it has not left my CD player ever since. I've been listening to it ever since release day. I take it in my car on the way to work every day, and I listen to it. Man, it just rocking me all day long. And so we're going to get into it, okay? Now, New Day, as I said, is the first full-length solo album by John Corabi of original music. The album, of course, was released on Frontiers Records, as I said, on April 24th, 2026. Okay. Now, the album, interestingly enough, it never actually charted on Billboard, but what it did do, and again, this is kind of speaking of modern day in 2026, how things happen in the music world. So while the album's been very popular, a lot of people have been talking about it. It's been getting great reviews. Corabi's on the road supporting this fantastic new album, and people are coming to see him play live, and it's just it's a great moment in time for rock fans, and especially if you're a John Corabi fan. Got this great kick-ass new album. We're going to really talk about it in some detail. And again, as I said, while it hasn't charted on Billboard, what it did do is it charted at number 15 on the iTunes album chart. Wow, that's really impressive. And it also charted at number 58 on the Apple Music album chart. So again, these are just two measuring sticks of how music is sold and bought these days on a lot of these digital platforms. So the fact that a hard rock metal artist like John Corabi is charting anywhere on any of these album platforms, it's really a great opportunity for an artist like John Corabi or any artist out there to say that you charted at number 15 on the iTunes album chart. That's it's not number one, but 15 not number 15 on the iTunes album chart. That's not too shabby, to kind of, you got some great bragging rights there that you can put up on on John Corabi's social media and kind of brag about. But man, I'm just so happy that to see the album has been even doing that. It's making some serious noise here, and why not? I mean, I remember last year in 2025 started really hearing that there was going to be a Corabi album come. I remember as far back as last November, and then by January we started getting the first sounds and the first singles, and other singles followed, and then we finally got the full-length album April 24th of this year. And so let's talk about some of the songs, the singles that were on the album. Now, one of the very first songs in conjunction with this album was released years earlier. There's a song called Castle Bell, So Beautiful. And this song, if I remember, it was released all the way back in 2021. This song, along with the song Your Own Worst Enemy, they were the first two songs to be released off of this album. But of course, they were released originally back in 2021 before anybody knew that there was going to be a new John Corabi solo album. I mean, these songs would come out like 4 years, prior to the album being released, just to kind of show fans that John Corabi is indeed working on some new music. Now, the two songs that were released that early, let's talk first of all about Your Own Worst Enemy. That's kind of, I think, of everything on the album, kind of the most standard kind of hard rock metal track, something that you would kind of expect from John Corabi to put out. So he didn't stray too far away from what people have known him for doing, a great kind of hard rock heavy tune. People loved it when it was released. There's never any official video for the song. Maybe now that the album's out, because he's been releasing a lot of music videos from it, maybe that'll eventually get a video. But the very first song that did get a video back all the way in 2021 again was Castle Bell, So Beautiful. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite tracks on the entire album. It's one of the tracks I play the most. And so let's talk a little bit about it and why I love it so much. The song and video, like I said, originally came out in 2021. the music features great performance of clips of Corabi and his band. Um, and like I said, it's one of the songs on the new album that has a great sing along quality to it. Um, it's probably of everything on the album. Like I said, that's the chorus and just the sing along like quality about the song. It makes it stick in your head, and it's one of the first go to tracks once I listen to the album all the way through. But I always go to. I'm like, that's such an upbeat song. It really gets me up, gets me feeling happy go lucky, just positive vibes all around. It's one of the first tracks when I pull out the CD that I always play first. It's one of my all-time favorites just for that reason alone. It's just got this great sing-along quality to the song, and the song, it just sticks in your head because of that. And I never get tired of hearing it because of the great happy-go-lucky positive vibes that I get from listening to the song, So there's that. New Day, okay. Once it was announced that this album was coming out, this was the first single and music video to be released off of the album. Of course, talking about the fantastic title track. And now let's talk about the title track and the video for it. Now, it's a great way, I think, to open up the album. It's full of optimism. It's got great kind of 1970s classic rock vibe to it. It's an anthem. It's a great kind of get yourself up on your feet kind of tune. Also, like I said, New Day. It's a classic rock anthem if there ever was one. It's about changing your mindset and appreciating the things you have in your life. The song talks about finding happiness and not complaining about your life circumstances. Kind of looking on the bright side of life, if you will, and try not to focus on the things that are bad. And if you got problems, instead of complaining about it or blaming other people for your problems, try to find a way to solve the problem. And so that's what the title track is all about. Now, the music video was filmed in John Corabi's hometown, which is now Nashville, Tennessee these days. Corabi feels in the video, if you watch the video, he appears to be very relaxed, at ease. I'm pretty sure that it was like filmed right outside his front door. I mean, if indeed this was a different location than where he actually lives, it's got kind of if you watch the video and it gives you that feeling like, hey, he filmed the video right on his front porch, and it's just got a great vibe to it. Okay, now the next track on the album, track number 2, is another one of my favorites. Now you're gonna hear me say that a lot because this is not one of those albums where it's maybe only got one or two great tunes. The album from top to bottom just kicks ass. There's not a single track that I skip or I don't want to hear because they're all killer songs, and we're going to talk about that now. That Memory, as I mentioned, is another kick-ass rockin' tune off of the new album. It's just got such a great classic 1970s rock vibe to it. It's very energetic and upbeat, as there are a lot of the songs on this album. Now, another one of my favorite songs off the new John Corabi solo album, New Day, and this I'm talking about, of course, the That Memory. It's a it's talking about Corabi's younger days, maybe something I find myself doing a lot more these days. Talking about myself. The older we all get, you start to have these moments in time where we start to, like, a song like this might get you thinking about, your younger days, things you did, in your past, fun memories you have. And so that's kind of the vibe you get and also in listening to the song, that memory, I also find myself sometimes starting to think about loved ones who have passed on, who are no longer here, because in regards to the phrase "that memory," that's another thing that happens. The older you get, you start to lose a lot of your loved ones. They're no longer here, and so a song like this might draw up a memory of somebody that's no longer here. You might remember a fun time you had with the person, or um, you just miss them, having them around. So that's another thing that this song kind of did for me. It made me think with a lot of loved ones I've lost, and how I wish they were still here. Now, so that's another one of my all-time favorite tracks on this whole album is that memory. Um, and so also I love the song um, because it just got such a great kind of upbeat vibe. 1969 is like the lyrics say. It's all about the summer of love, and peace, love, and war. And if you watch the video, it's got um, it's got footage like throughout the 1960s that you watch the pictures going by in the video, and you can't help but okay, no, but this is a song about the 1960s. And John Corabi has made the interviews he's done and talking about the new album. He said that to him, it's kind of got a song kind of has a Creedence Clearwater Revival kind of vibe to it when he listens to it. And so two songs that really, deserve to be mentioned here, you know, are track number 3, which is Faith, Hope, and Love, which has a bit of a blues feel to it. It's one of Corabi's best emotional vocal performances on the entire album. It's kind of the softer acoustic side of John Corabi. Um, while this isn't an album that's full of unplugged tunes, it's got its fair share of great kind of slower, softer unplugged acoustic tunes. This is one of those tracks. It's another side of John Corabi I've always loved. I mean, I think back to songs that some of the great John Corabi ballads we've gone over years, like you know, Mother, Father, Son, Drift Away from Motley Crue, um, Misunderstood. Kind of starts off a little ballady, and then it kicks in and it kind of picks up. But I kind of would say Misunderstood, Love Shine, and probably my all-time favorite, also Motley Crue songs, Drift Away. I remember hearing the Motley Crue album in '94, and that was Drift Away and probably Poison Apples were my favorite songs off of that album. I mean, and it's kind of you know, Poison Apples was kind of like a bit of a rock anthem, and then Drift Away, great power ballad. Another great Motley Crue ballad to feature John Corabi was 10,000 Miles Away. Then there was the song Friends. And so anytime we get the softer side of John Corabi, it's pretty cool to check out. Now, let's see. Okay, here. Okay, track number 8, let's see, is Good to Be Home Again, which is one of the album's emotional centerpieces. It's a song that talks about returning home from a long time on the road if you're a musician or something like that, and it talks about a lot about just being away from home, and then you come home and you just love being around your family and your loved ones, or if you've ever experienced that, you go on a long vacation, come back, it always feels good to be home again. And again, probably of all the songs on this album, I would say Good to Be Home kind of reminds me a little bit of Motley Crue's Drift Away off the '94 album. track number nine, once again, is still on the softer side of, it's kind of what I would call almost a power ballad. And those were huge, in the 1970s and 80s, especially. And Love, I'm talking about the song. Again, this is track number nine off of the new Corabi album, New Day. And we're talking about the song Love That'll Never Be. Now, if you're a John Corabi fan, you first heard this song on the latest Dead Daisies studio album, which of course was Light 'Em Up. And the song was, of course, Love It'll Never Be. Now, the Dead Daisies did a great music video for this. John Corabi and Doug Aldridge are kind of featured throughout the video. But there hasn't been a video for the Corabi version here off of New Day. I'm hoping maybe we'll get that. The song is stays pretty true the way the Dead Daisies does it, but I do hear a little bit of changes. It's not so drastic that you think, oh wow, he really changed up the song. No, I think maybe it just he loved the song so much that he said, okay, I want to do my own version of that. In fact, Corabi wrote the song himself, so he has every right to do that. And it's interesting to hear the two different versions. I'd be interested in finding out, anybody watching this, I'd be interested in finding out, do you prefer the Dead Daisies version of A Love That'll Never Be or the Corabi version? Do you hear a difference? Do you think there's a difference? I would love kind of hear your thoughts on that. So feel free to leave a comment about that. I'd love to know what you guys think. Okay, and then the album ends with a great kick-ass rockin' cover of Sly and the Family Stones, Everyday People. Now, when I got the album, I hadn't really heard that he had done a cover of this. I picked up the CD. Actually, well, I should say I ordered the CD, as I do most things, off of Amazon.com. I remember coming home. I couldn't wait to get home and get it out of my mailbox. I took it in my room and I listened. And from start, before I even put the CD in, Everyday People I seen. I'm like, before I even put it on, I'm like, wow, he's covering Sly and the Family. It's got to be Sly and the Family Stone cover. And I'm like, I could kind of imagine Corabi doing this. And you know what? I don't know, but just the way the songs are sourced throughout the album. I mean, it's a great package. I mean, everything about the album really kicks ass. I'm talking song wise. I mean, kicking it off with New Day. What a great way to kick the album off. And then you go into That Memory, and then another track that we really got to talk about for wrapping this up today, but I really loved on this album was When I Was Young. And this is John Corabi at, I believe, the age of 65 now. Officially a senior citizen, but you would not know by listening to this album, you not know by looking at the man, he still looks like a rock star. He still is a rock star. He's still got that golden voice. And he's with the Dead Daisies, and he finally got a chance after going back to the Dead Daisies, and he made a deal with the guy. Say, okay, I will come back to the Dead Daisies, but I want to also be allowed to do my solo thing on the side and put out solo albums. And so, since being in the Dead Daisies, this is the first official solo album he has released, and the guys in the Dead Daisies agreed, okay, well, what we'll do, since you're working on a new solo album, John, we're going to take all of 2026 off pretty much to allow you to get your solo album out there and tour behind it. And then, from what I understand, in 2027, it looks like there's going to be new Dead Daisies music, and they're going to be out touring. This is probably the longest break, but Dead Daisies taken in a number of years, but they still have not slowed down. I'll tell you what I mean. In spite of John being out there supporting his solo album, I believe they recently did a show with former Dead Daisies lead singer, Glenn Hughes of all people, the very man that replaced John Corabi for a few years. They did a live show, I believe, um, like a Deep Purple show where Glenn came, and I'm pretty sure they played some of the Dead Daisies music that Glenn played, but they also played a lot of Deep Purple cuts that Glenn did when he was in Deep Purple. And so that's pretty cool show. And they thought, okay, what can we do to get out there and do a live show? And Krabi's not available right now, but we can maybe get our good friend Glenn Hughes to do a special show. That's what they're doing. And also, in reference to the Dead Daisies, I think I'm going to do a future episode on this, which is the Dead Daisies' latest live album is called Live Plus Five. Um, Great collection. And what I love about this is the Dead Daisies on the new live album is not just playing Corabi era stuff. Um, he plays, they perform some of the songs that they did with Glenn Hughes. And you get to hear live versions of those songs with John Corabi doing kind of his take. And that's a real fun thing to kind of listen to. Now, like I said, before you wrap it up, I really got to highlight the song When I Was Young. Again, John Corabi at 65 years old, he's kind of getting reflective and looking back on his younger days. It's another one of the music videos that looks like he recorded right in his, his backyard, his front yard. I don't know, but very close to home. It has kind of that homey kind of a feel to it. John is rocking out in the video. It's just good time music, and that's another one of the songs I really, really love. I love the song because it's catchy, it's upbeat. There's not any music on here that'll ever it's gonna really get you down. Like I said, maybe a Love It'll Never Be, because to me it's like a great power ballad. Like you hear back in the day, and it's maybe about somebody talking about being madly in love with somebody, and just they get heartbroken because they can never have the person they really want. So it's kind of a little bit of a blues feel to it. Maybe it'll get you a little. That's the one song that kind of maybe break your heart a little bit, but it's all positive vibes. And I love the fact that, again, you start with New Day and you end the album with a great cover of Everyday People. Now, John Corabi, if you're listening to this, let me say, I really hope you do a video for Everyday People. I know it's not one of your original tunes, but I love the song, John, and great way to end the album. And that's all I got to say. So I urge everybody to go out and get the new Corabi album, New Day. It kicks ass from start to finish. I don't know what else to say, but go out and get the album. John Corabi, he's still in fine form. He's still rocking my world, all these years since 1994. And I can honestly say that anytime John Corabi puts anything out, I will go out and buy it. He just never disappointed me. Great frontman, great singer, great songwriter. And that's why on New Day, it is a brand new day for John Corabi. He delivers all the hard rock and metal and blues, the goods, here on this album. So go out and get it. I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day, and go out and get the new John Corabi album, and go on YouTube and check out all the videos. Just a great piece of music. And John, thanks for rocking my world ever since 1994. Like I said, John Corabi always delivers the goods and never disappoints. Thanks so much. Talk to you guys all later. Bye for now.